Next up is First AU. Presenting for First AU is their CEO, Ryan Skeen. Welcome to the Virtual Gold Conference. Over to you, Ryan.
Thanks, Kerry. Very excited to be here and present on First AU and provide an update on the company and what we've got coming up. Standard disclaimer, which you can read through in your own time. Straight into the company summary. So First AU has got a diverse range of projects across Australia. So in WA, South Australia and Victoria. Our primary projects are based in East Gippsland in Victoria, where we're looking for gold and copper. And we'll talk about that in a fair bit of detail today. We've also got Mabel Creek, which we actually announced last month. It's an exciting new project, which is prospective for IOCGs.
And for those, sorry to interrupt you, Ryan, for those people out there that don't know what IOCG is, iron ore, copper, gold.
Correct.
Just letting them know.
Thank you. And then in WA, we've got our Gimlet-based project, which we upgraded the resource in June this year to be 120,000 ounces of gold, which is, again, another one that's quite exciting that we've actually got a resource over there. Moving on to the corporate overview. I think this very much speaks for itself, but we've got strong support from our top 20 shareholders, and we think at the moment that the current share price presents a real opportunity for investors, and we think that we're pretty undervalued with 2.4 million in cash and an enterprise value of around 5 million. Board and management. We've got a very good team between the five of us. We've got a good history across mining exploration and corporate finance. So we've got a really good and complementary skill set to ensure that we can, pull off an efficient and hopefully a successful exploration program. Onto our East Gippsland projects. There's three primary prospects that we're looking at. So there's Swifts Creek, which is our Snowstorm prospect, Haunted Stream, which are both prospective for gold. And then we've got a porphyry copper prospect in Dogwood as well. So we've recently had some drilling results at Snowstorm, and we were very excited by those. And we saw some evidence of really high-grade gold, greater than 30 grams per ton.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And then, we've taken some rock, geos have had some rock chip samples as well, up to 123 grams per ton. So very excited around Snowstorm, Haunted Stream as well. So if we go and look at historical mining production, we've seen ore extracted again at high grades between 15 to 30 grams per ton, and some reefs producing greater than 150 grams per ton. So I think we're very confident that there's gold there. It's just a matter of us now, finding our very specific targets and locating those. Both Snowstorm and Haunted Stream, as I mentioned, have got historical production numbers. So the Swifts Creek area where Snowstorm sits has produced just shy of 100,000 ounces of gold, and Haunted Stream has produced around about 25,000 ounces of gold. So we feel like we're in the right areas. This is just a quick map of where our tenements are. And you'll be able to see that the ones on the left-hand side across through to Dogwood are where our primary focus are at this point. So we've got the Snowstorm, Haunted Stream and Dogwood copper prospects. Moving on to Snowstorm, a bit of a focus on that. So it's our most advanced prospect at this point in time. We've recently had our maiden drilling program there, which, as I mentioned, we were very excited about the results. As you can see, the intersection there that includes 0.8 meters at 33 grams per ton, and then another one of 0.2 at 49 grams per ton. I think this is really indicative to us that we are in the right area and that we're certainly, on the right track to be finding a resource that is high grade. Just focusing on the results a little bit more. Some other points as well that I think are worth mentioning too is that in the 12 holes that we drilled, we intersected gold in every single one of them, which again is really, really positive for the company and something that we're really excited about, particularly for our first program too. And, you know, I think it's allowed us as well to, you know, we have at least since that defined where we can focus on a little bit more too. So that intersection that contained the 0.8 meters at 33 grams is this SND DH002. So that's, if my cursor shows up, that's just there.
Okay, yep, got it.
That's going to be the area that we're going to focus on moving forward.
Why is that, Ryan? Sorry, why that specifically? Is that because
simply because that's where we believe we're most likely to find high grade gold of a reasonable quantity.
Okay.
Our Gs have defined that as the point that we want to expand on the initial hole that we put in there to hopefully, you know, continue on that result and expand it further.
Are you drilling out there at the moment, Ryan?
We're not drilling right now, but we have recently announced that we have got a drill program set up for early to mid-September,
okay,
which is going to be about 1,500 meters.
Okay.
Another thing as well, another interesting point about it is that we intersected dikes, which our geos consider to be analogues to the Woods Point Walhalla dike swarm. And I think that that's really important because it allows us to understand or develop our understanding in the factors which control the distribution of gold, which is most important for helping us know where to go and get the gold, where to find it, where to put the holes in.
Yep.
And if we have a little look at the Woods Point dike swarm, 33% of the deposits in the Walhalla Woods Point region actually were related to that dike swarm. So I think this is something.
Ryan, what is a dike swarm?
It's got to do with it's a geological formation. So see on this map here in the bottom right hand corner.
How we've got on the left?
Those, yep.
Okay.
So all those black like lines are dikes. So they're basically geological formations that occur through faults in the rocks, and obviously that allows the gold to travel through the formation.
Got it. I'd never heard of a dike swarm before. There we go. Learn something every day.
Again, I think it's something that we're very excited about because of that relation to or you know the fact that what it meant for the Woods Point, the Walhalla Woods Point region. Moving on to Haunted Stream. So Haunted Stream is our flagship project. It's not quite as advanced as Snowstorm, but this is one that we certainly believe has a lot of potential to find high-grade gold. So I think firstly, you know, the sheer size of it. So that strike length in that image that we can see there is actually 8.5 kilometers long, which is quite a significant area to explore. But to begin with, we've focused in on Ernestine and Hibernia, which are down at the bottom there, which occur along about 450 meters. So we've chosen that area due to the historical production results and also the rock chip samples. So the black numbers that we can see there are historical production, and the red ones are the historical rock chips that have been taken by previous companies. So it was previously explored by New Sterling and Mantle Mining. And we can see going back prior to that even, which I touched on before, that it has produced gold historically around 25,000 ounces, typically between 15 to 30 grams per tonne, and some reefs producing greater than 150. So that's why we're so excited about this specific prospect, And the fact that, we do have an 8.5K zone, which we're looking to explore, that the potential for it is quite significant as we continue to unravel the area.
And I think certainly with those some of that's historical mine workings and the records that you've got, it makes sense to start having a look around there. And the numbers look nice.
Absolutely. And that's why we're here. And I think that's a nice little segue into why more gold hasn't been found in the area. And I think that, or I don't think, the reasons for it is that they were technologically limited and challenged. So they had issues with water at depth in which they couldn't pump out. And then they also had issues getting airflow down at depth, which meant that they couldn't go any deeper than they historically did. So the image in the top right of those three is a cross-section of Ernestine underground. So we can see that historically there were 4 levels of mine shafts in there, which went down to a depth of about 115 meters. So this is where those historical numbers, or part of where those historical numbers have come from, so these specific mines. And what we intend on doing and what we want to be able to do is put some deeper holes into these historical mines and go below that 100 or go deeper than that 115 meters to test for mineralization at depth. It's also got the added advantage, if you sort of have a look at the picture in the bottom right, that having the underground aid it allows our geos to go in undergrounding and to be able to do their sampling and their mapping to get a really good idea for the structures and the geology that we're actually working with as well. So again, this is a really exciting prospect, and we're hoping to be able to put some holes in this sooner rather than later. And we're progressing our permit application, but we'll certainly be looking forward to the day that we can get under those existing mines.
Do you think that's in the near future? You got to get the permits and all that sort of stuff. We're talking months or weeks?
It'll definitely be more months than weeks.
Okay.
And like I said, it's not quite as advanced as what Snowstorm is. Hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later, but the permit applications take as long as the permit applications take.
Absolutely.
But nonetheless, it's still a prospect that we're very excited about. And, we continue, and I suppose in the meantime, we continue to explore it. We continue to do sampling. We continue to, use the existing underground network to increase our knowledge of the area. The other Victorian project that we're excited about, or that it's a relatively new one, and we haven't spoken about it too much in the past, but it's a porphyry copper prospect known as Dogwood. So that was the one that if we went back to that initial map, it's the one that sits just southeast of Haunted Stream. And this map, or this graphic we've got here, was actually produced by the US Geological Survey. So they commissioned a report, I think it was in 2015. I could be wrong on that, but which basically they were trying to identify porphyry copper prospects in Australia. And we can see that Dogwood, which is down at the bottom of this in Victoria, actually forms part of what they believe is a much bigger tract and a much bigger, I suppose, formation, which is prospective for copper. It hasn't been granted just yet. We're hoping that it's going to be, or we're working towards it being granted before the end of the calendar year. But it's actually something that we're starting to do some pre-work on already, and starting to I suppose, put things in place, or starting to put our work plans in place, so that the moment that is granted, that we can get onto that ground and start drilling that sooner rather than later. It is something that I think, adds a bit of diversity to the company in the fact that it is copper as well. But, I think it's really prospective based on the numbers that I've seen, in which we will soon release, so that everyone can have a look at them, that we think that there is something there. Moving on to WA. So in WA, we've got our Gimlet project, which is 15 kilometres northwest of Kalgoorlie, which is rich in infrastructure, which is quite important because we do have, as we released in June, we do have a resource of 120,000 ounces. And that infrastructure allows us, or it gives us access to toll treatment options and places we can actually send the ore if we do progress it to a mining stage or a mining operation, and that's underway already. And we're hoping that, I was going to say again, that takes a little bit of time, but we're working towards that. And in the meantime, we're looking at ways we can actually increase that mineral footprint, and that would involve looking at putting some more holes in there. And put in some really deep ones.
2 minutes, Ryan.
Which will be good. A new project that we've got is Mabel Creek in South Australia. So this is prospective for those iron oxide, copper, gold deposits. And we can see at this tenement map that we're close to those major mining houses, which is BHP, Rio, Fortescue and Oz Minerals. And it's an area that has seen increased activity. So we came across this, or one of our geos came across this from a South Australian government challenge called the Gawler Challenge, in which the winner and the runner-up actually identified our tenements, or the overlapping area of our tenements, as being one of the 5 key gold targets within the Gawler Craton. So effectively, the government wanted to increase mining exploration in the area, and they had a $250,000 cash prize to do so. And one of our geos came across it and saw that the land was available. So we've gone and pegged that. We've got 2 out of the 3 tenements granted. And then once we've got that third one done, we'll start working on an exploration plan to progress this project as well.
All righty, we wrapping it all up.
Very quickly, we've got drilling to commence in September. We've got granting of tenements. We've got a LiDAR survey that's going to happen in Q4 as well, and then granting of Mabel Creek too. So I think that there's quite a bit going on with First AU. I think first and foremost, it presents a great opportunity for investors. I think our shares are, quite undervalued at the moment, given the projects that we've got and the activity that we expect to occur over the next 3 to 6 months. All of our main prospects are all prospective for high grade gold and copper. And then as well, I think the fact that we're diversified across Victoria, Western Australia, South Australia, across different types of gold, and then across copper as well, I think is a nice thing to add into the mix. Okay, we've run out of time, but we're going to see you in the Hour of Power, which is the Zoom networking. If you haven't already register now. You can ask Ryan some questions. And Ryan, thanks for joining us at the Virtual Gold Conference.